Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm thinking to share with you my personal opinion about the new premium ships available right now. Remember guys that it's a huge IFHE change and also some buff to some ships. We're going to decide to buff at least 2 ships in premium. Crazy, they will almost be overpowered. Remember guys, just give you an example. A Benson without IFHE will only pen 21 millimeters of penetration. So literally, if you are a battleship, let's say any battleship, tier 8 battleship, USS Massachusetts, or it does not matter what, Roma for instance, if he does not have IFHE, he cannot harm you almost anywhere besides superstructure. But if he will put the IFHE, his percent to put you on fire, it's only 2.5%. And even though if he has, let's say, some flags, it will only be 3.5%. So literally in 100 shells, only there's 3.5% that you will get any fire. So literally, guys, what I'm trying to say is that all destroyer has been nerfed, almost all destroyer has been nerfed, and you as a battleship will receive less damage from destroyers or some destroyers, which is good. Literally, you will receive half of your fires. But the thing is, still the main problem is all other 2 or 3 millimeters cruisers guns. They will pen you, they will do full damage and high percent to put you on fire. So it's not a destroyer, it's actually the cruisers. So guys, for the Grep Zeppelin, I would like to say it's not a recommended. I do own many, all different kind of tier 8 CV, and I would like to say that it's not fun whatsoever to engage a tier 10 ship. It does not matter if it's a destroyer or if it's a cruiser or battleship. It's not fun at all to face tier 10 ships in a tier 8, and you will do it a lot of time or most of the time. Not recommend the Grep Zeppelin. Roma, I have a neutral, but overall I do believe she received this kind of less fired because of some parts have a good armor. But once again, I'm very neutral to Roma. To Vanguard, there are better ships. I do not recommend this ship, even though it has some gimmicks and good concealment. I believe she's not worth the money. How about the Key? Key received a huge buff in her secondary. Now her 100 millimeters secondary guns, it's literally Akizuki's guns, receive 30 millimeters of HE pen. Literally, guys, you will melt every single cruiser at tier 8 and above, you name it. There are very few cruisers like overpower Moskva that you, or some other super cruiser that you cannot hurt. This thing, the Key, become a monster. I would like to say that very honestly. Key, Tirpitz, Massachusetts, it's by far the best 3 ships you can purchase, and especially Tirpitz. If you don't have the Tirpitz, this thing become even a more monster. Her 150 millimeters secondary guns have 38 millimeters of HE penetration. Next patch of her 105 millimeters of guns, they have crazy high. I do believe it is 27 or something, crazy high. Or 30, yes, 30 millimeters. So her secondary become overpowered. In that regard, she has better HE pen than most destroyers. Let me put it this way, and this is kind of broken. Remember, Tirpitz, that you have 2 destroyers in each side. I'm talking about Z-52 with IFHE. So broken this Tirpitz is. Absolutely ridiculous. 38 millimeters of HE pen, literally, guys. Will eat Gascone for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's exactly what I mean. She has all over the place none more than 32 millimeters of armor, and this Tirpitz has some secondary guns have 38 millimeters of pen. But at the same reason, Massachusetts is still strong, even though she will not harm, let's say, battleship, but some cruisers, yes, especially tier 7's cruiser, and you will eat them for lunch, breakfast, and dinner with your secondary and your main guns. And she has all the gimmicks in the world, so I would like to say Key Tirpitz and Massachusetts are by far the best 3 battleship the entire game, and they will become even stronger in the next patch. Pile of crap, Gascony, not worth it. Alabama, I'm not saying she's not good, she's good, alright, good accuracy. I would like to say that if you want to have a better accuracy guns, more reliable guns, Alabama is probably even better than, let's say, Massachusetts. Alright, Iran also receives some buff. I'm talking about the armor buff and HE penetration buff. So in that regard, this Iran become a small beast. I'm not saying that she's the best, but she received whopping 6 millimeters of more HE penetration than in live server. That's the next patch, and also receive some parts better armor. Same story, it's with this tier 8 US light cruiser. She also received better HE penetration and better armor, some parts. Do I recommend them? Neutral. I believe still Iran it's a better ship because it has real guns versus this floaty Cleveland's guns. Kaga, do not recommend it because of very one reason. Simple. The new Swedish destroyer or pan-European destroyer will come, which they are mailed to melt your planes like there's no one's business. Literally, guys. Don't go towards them. Don't face them. You will lose every single squad every time. Same story, a pile of crap Saipan, absolutely worthless, absolutely no good pile of crap CV, not good to have. Lenin, on the other hand, guys, I like to say that she's crazy strong. In some games I see Lenin do very good, and some even said that this is close to overpower. She's definitely a not bad pick if you want to train your Soviet captains. Lenny, it's not a bad pick. Actually, I do recommend this ship. I know sounds kind of weird, but then now the new king of all cruisers, guys. I'm serious. This is such a broken ship. In the next patch, it's not even fun. I mean, her secondary have better penetration than a damn Mogador. How weird is that? I repeat. Prince Eugen and Hipper's secondaries 105 mils have better penetration than Kleber and Mogador's main guns. HE pen I'm talking about. Absolutely. This thing has heal, this thing has torque, this thing has armor, and by the way, she will be buffed in armor in the next patch. I believe this is one of the absolutely most broken best cruiser at tier 8. And probably at the same story at also Atago, it's not a bad cruiser because even she will have enough with a HE pen that it can pen every single battleship, which will do 34mm of HE pen. Not a bad pick, and same story, you have crazy good torpedoes and the armor has been buffed. What that means, it's literally that and this for both two cruisers. If you're a tier 7 or tier 8 Benson, does not matter which destroyer you are, and you're not aiming for the superstructure of those two cruisers, and you don't have IFHE, you'll do 0 damage. You do 0 damage. All over the place they have at least 25, 27, and Hippers and Prince Eugen's have close to 30mm in some part. Of course, the superstructure is big, and same story with Atago, but Atago more agile, more speedy demon. So good luck hitting that thing. What I'm trying to say, it's the gameplay between a cruiser and a destroyer has become, shall I say, most favor for a cruiser, because now she has too good of armor for a destroyer to pen her. if the destroyer has IFHE, sure, then you receive a huge hit, but on the other hand, the percentage to put this cruiser on fire are close to zero, or what, 3.5% in best case. I'm talking about Benson's 127mm guns and the entire destroyer line besides Akizuki Kitakaze, because there is the other way around. Asashio, it's actually not a bad pick. It's a good one. Kid, it's strong if you are Yolon division. I believe the US Kid, it's extremely strong or close to overpower when you're playing with a pan-European destroyer. Then you can troll the CV from their game. A Swedish destroyer, especially tier 9, 10 and a Kid together, or even the tier 8, will deplane any CV literally in every single game. So in that regard, it's strong. But remember, overall, if you want to just play a random, the guns of Kid and Benson's and all that will not hurt any cruiser whatsoever if you don't aim for the superstructure. So you need IFHE to do any kind of damage. And your torpedo, you're not a torpedo boat, you're more like a gunboat. I believe she has been power creep, guys. Lo Yang, it's not bad. He has a good hydro, good everything. I would like to say this is one of the strongest destroyer versus destroyer. You pop your smoke and hydro and you kill that destroyer inside his smoke because of this stupid hydro, I believe. And deep water torps are not bad. So I believe this is a pretty strong ship overall. On tanks, most of the, because you know the torpedo are doing whopping damage, and it's not a bad ship to pick. Duke of York, I have no idea why to pick Duke of York when King George is almost Duke of York, and even better reload. Not recommend. Hood, I believe it's a very interesting one. I do actually recommend this one. Not strong recommendation, but it's a good ship overall. They did buff her AP penetration and all that, so she more fulfill a role of a battleship. Ashikata, I don't know what to say. The tier 7, I do not actually recommend any tier 7 whatsoever, guys. So literally, it's because of this new armor buffed. A tier 7 versus tier 8 ship, it's a huge damn gap, even in a cruiser, in a battleship. I do not recommend her. Atlanta, same story, not even with IFHE can pen a Baltimore, for instance. How weird is that? This ship become a pile of crap, and the only reason you purchase her or thinking to purchase her is because you want to just throw money in the garbage, or you know what I mean. It's just waste of money, and this is absolutely one of the worst ship you can purchase, especially in the next patch when the tier 7 are a pile of crap, every single one of them, versus tier 8s. I'm talking about the armor and HE penetration. I have no idea about this ship, guys. The problem with this ship, it's a tier 7, and she still have 5 or 6 millimeter or lower pen than a tier 8 counterparts, and that's the sad part. She did not receive any buff in armor, she did not receive any buffs in the HE penetration. Unfortunately, guys, she was power creeped and not recommended for me, and not recommended for this one either, and of the same reason and the same story with Boise. All tier 7 cruiser has become a pile of crap together with laser. They are not doing bad when they are top dog, but when you're facing tier 8 cruiser, let's say Mogami, if you don't aim for the superstructure, you might not harm a tier 8 cruiser. That's the problem. So once again, if you're 1 versus 1 and you are a tier 7 light cruiser and you're facing any tier 8 cruiser, even though if it's a light cruiser, you don't have enough pen to pen their armor because the armor buff. That's the problem, and that is the huge significant change to all those ships. They were strong, but now you need IFHE. But to get IFHE, you can just forget the bonfires because they'll cut the percentage to put your enemy on fire by 50%. So of course they has been nerfed, and bad for you guys that you just purchased a stupid ship which is much less value in the next patch, and that it's a huge damn problem. Same story with Z39. I mean, sure, it has its hydro. I'm not saying they are bad, but the same reason, guys, our game decided to buff all battleships, all cruiser, but the German one they left alone, which I would like to say that it's a tricky situation when you're facing tier 9 destroyer and so many other radar cruisers at tier 8 and above. So of course when you're top dog you can do well, but not much if you are a underdog. And the matchmaking as tier 7, it's so brutal, so one-sided, and that's the reason, actually, believe me or not, it sounds weird, but I do not recommend any tier 8 tier 7 destroyer anymore. They are not bad ships, Z39, Haida and Leningrad. They are good ships, and same story with Sims. But the problem is that now they all been messed up in HE penetration department, and they have been left in dust. With 21 millimeters of penetration in the next patch, what the hell you can do? Because here's the deal, and this is the main armor. Let's say Sims. This is the best idea, right? Sims face Cleveland or Baltimore or Mogami, if you don't aim for the superstructure, Sim cannot harm a Mogami. Anywhere you need IFHE to harm a Mogami. How weird is that? I'm not talking about a cruiser. I'm not talking about, because even the Mogami has a squeeze as all hell. She still have some parts 27 millimeters and 25 all over the place besides superstructure. So if you don't aim for the superstructure, Sims can do 0 damage, and same story with Leningrad and Haida and so on. So that's the problem. Not recommended. She's too slow, in my honestly opinion, Virginia. And Prince Atel also received some buff with her 105 millimeters secondary. So if you go troll and have a good time to dealing full damage to all other battleships, I do believe this ship particular has been buffed in secondary HE penetration. How weird is that? But it is what it is, guys. Arizona, not bad ship, guys. And frankly, I'm not saying that, you see, at tier 6 I'm more okay with that because there are some missions. I'm talking about those coup missions or scenario that you can take your Arizona or Prince and do a lot of damage towards boards and receive a lot of credits and experience at the same time. And same story with Mutsu. So of course when you're top dog, all those ships are strong. The biggest hit receive actually the tier 7s was versus tier 8, and the tier 8 they all receive buff. So that's the problem. And the same story Warspite's good ship. I do believe the Grasse has 152 millimeters guns, right? All right. I'm neutral to this ship. Huanke, I'm very neutral. I'm not saying that she's not worth or good. T61 is still a strong and probably one of the strongest tier 6 destroyer up there. She's still worth the money, especially with this coupons. So yeah. And same story with Perth. It's almost Leander with Smoke, one of the best light cruiser up there. I very much like to say that this is absolutely worth the money, especially if you have some sale going on. Duca d'Aosta, kind of a weak in my honestly opinion. Now the Grab Zeppelin has received a huge damn hit buff to her secondary. So yeah, she's stronger than ever. If you have her, good for you. Then you will have a monster of the time. And same story, it's her 105 mils guns receive a huge 26 millimeter of HE penetration, which basically means that you will pen every single battleship cruisers at destroyer at this tier. This is literally what I mean. So the German vessel received all a huge buff besides the destroyer. The destroyer did not receive. IFHE, not a bad ship in my honest opinion. She's a tanky one. I believe that in right hands she could be a very strong destroyer, guys. Seriously, I'm not joking, and I believe she's actually worth the money. That's my honestly opinion. Monaghan could be good in AA department if you want to troll some aircraft carrier. Galant, meh ship. Anshan, on the other hand, I highly recommend, and it's because I do have Fushun and I love her. The best thing, and for someone who does not understand how the Pan-Asian Tier 6 destroyer, this thing has Soviet rail guns with the best smoke in the game. The time between your smoke is off and the next smoke available, I do believe it around 20 seconds. It's not even that. So you have smoke on them on, and you have great torpedoes, great guns for its tier. I'm talking about you're not overpowered. But I do believe, it's my honestly opinion, this is underrated. This is a very strong ship in a good hand, extremely strong. And same story with the Exeter. Exeter can do whopping damage. You can blap everything and everyone and do significant damage. And you do have this stupid HE penetration. And I do believe in the near future this thing will even be stronger with over 34 millimeter of HE pen. And that is great news, guys. And for the lower tier, I'm not gonna talk about, because if you are a new player, it's not a bad pick to pick a, let's say, a tier 3 or tier 4 ship that you can learn the game, aim and the angles and stuff like that. So I would like to say, depend on the nation you want to grind, it's highly recommend you go for a tier 3 or tier 4 ship. If you are a new player, that it's actually a good thing that you know, train up your captain, at the same time you learn the game, and at the same time you do a little bit more of experience and stuff like that. Those two tier 5 ships, not recommended, guys. They are not any good whatsoever. But at the same time, you can never say never, because some people, they do know how to play this Kremlin, you know, the donuts. The Soviet donuts, it could be strong, especially if you have a high tier captain. So let me know in a comment below, guys. I would like to say that overall the biggest nerf has become to all the destroyers. And I like to say, Bazera, which destroyer do I highly recommend? Well, the best destroyer in the entire game, guys, and up to premium mode, it will be the Harikaze. Harikaze's with 100mm guns, that thing was absolutely broken, because in the next patch it will receive 30mm of HE pen without IFHE. So yeah, that destroyer became a huge buff from a mech destroyer till absolutely one of the most overpowered destroyer in the entire game. By the way, Harikaze's 100mm gun will have higher pen than Kleber and a Mogador. How weird is that? It is what it is, guys. Wargaming reasons. Thanks, guys, for watching, and always, captains, fair seas, and goodbye.